Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening. Fire investigators in New York City are taking a closer look at a high-rise apartment building's fire safety equipment after seeing how quickly smoke spread through the 19-story structure.
On a bitter cold morning, one day after tragedy struck, teams of cleaning crews arrived at the site of New York's worst residential fire in 3 decades.
Sad because this is like a family, you know, and we lost a lot of lives, which it hurts very bad, especially children and even elders.
Mayor Eric Adams said at least 17 people lost their lives, including 8 children. Dozens of families lost their homes, but they are the lucky ones. France Shannon's parents are in their 70s and made it out alive.
I couldn't believe it in my own eyes. I was in shock. I can't even express it in words.
Look at all that smoke though, yo.
So much smoke poured out of the 19-story building, the fire commissioner called it unprecedented. Residents had to break windows to try and escape. Investigators blame a faulty space heater, but said the building's furnace was working. 200 firefighters arrived at the chaotic scene, some within 3 minutes, making their way through thick smoke to save lives.
The smoke went out throughout the building into the stairwell and overcome a lot of the residents, and they could not get out of the building.
Some of them actually did not have any more air in their tanks, but continued to push through to rescue families.
All eyes are on the Biden administration as COVID cases continue to surge. This as the president faces criticism over a lack of available tests and new federal vaccine mandates being considered by the Supreme Court. Lauren Blanchard reports.
Back from Camp David, President Biden stepped off Marine One and into yet another week filled with COVID concerns.
We have to start thinking about a long-term strategy for how do we manage this virus and not go from surge to surge.
The president is being urged to rethink his current pandemic strategy and focus on how Americans can live with the virus.
The new normal is not going to be what it is now. It's going to be better.
The White House promised 500 million free at-home tests would be available this month. But now into the second full week of the year, still there's no solid date or website to order them.
What I can say is in the coming days and weeks, you'll see more and more announcements of awards to manufacturers and test providers.
Meanwhile, in effect Monday, President Biden's mandate that requires all companies with more than 100 employees to enforce vaccination or testing.
I am a grocery guy. I'm not the vaccine police.
The mandate, along with another requiring vaccines for healthcare workers, are being challenged in the Supreme Court. There was some confusion during oral arguments when Justice Sonia Sotomayor claimed 100,000 kids were in serious condition with COVID. The CDC director pushed back.
The risk of death is small, but of course, children aren't supposed to die.
The justices are expected to have a ruling shortly. Meanwhile, the federal agency in charge of enforcing the mandates does not plan to impose fines yet. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Researchers are reporting to have identified a possible new coronavirus strain, and it may be a combination of 2 current variants. A University of Cyprus research team says they've found what is being called the Deltacron strain, a combination of the Delta and Omicron variants. The team has reported finding 25 cases. The Cyprus researchers say it could spread fast, but a British virologist says the findings could be what scientists are calling contamination, not a new strain. A shocking death. One of America's favorite TV dads. Actor and comedian Bob Saget found dead Sunday in Florida. Phil Keating has more from Miami.
He did everything with love and with humor.
The comedy world mourning a legend today. Actor and comedian Bob Saget dead at the age of 65. Saget was in Orlando, Florida as part of his stand-up tour when he was discovered unresponsive by police in his hotel room at the Ritz-Carlton on Sunday. Just the night before, Saget was doing what he did best, delivering laughs at his show, posting to Instagram Saturday night saying, quote, "I'm back in comedy like I was when I was 26.
It hurt my heart really bad. It was horrible.
Saget is best known for his role as single dad Danny Tanner on Full House and host of America's Funniest Home Videos. Tributes rolling in from his co-stars and fellow comedians. John Stamos, who starred with Saget on Full House, writing, quote, "I am broken. I am gutted. I am in complete and utter shock. I will never have another friend like him. I love you so much, Bobby." Meanwhile, fans in comedy clubs across the country also paying tribute to Saget. In Los Angeles, the Laugh Factory honoring Saget on their marquee, which reads, "Rest in peace, make God laugh." And inside, the crowd giving him a standing ovation.
Give him a nice standing ovation and laugh, and all of you guys laugh.
In a statement, the Orange County Sheriff's Office saying they found no signs of foul play or drug use inside the hotel room. In Miami, Phil Keating, Fox News.
Robert Durst died today at the age of 78. The New York real estate tycoon was serving a life sentence without parole for murdering his friend, Susan Berman, in 2000. Durst's attorney confirmed he died from natural causes at the State Prison Hospital in Stockton, California. Durst tested positive for COVID-19 shortly after his sentencing in October. He previously battled bladder cancer. Durst was also charged in November with killing his former wife, Kathy Durst, who disappeared in 1982. Still ahead tonight. For pet owners, your animal is part of the family, but what happens when that family gets divorced?
We don't have kids, and so our pets are so important.
More on a law considering the welfare of pets when their owners break up.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Mattar. Good evening, everyone. Much colder air today. Temperatures about 18 degrees cooler in Corning than yesterday afternoon. 16 degrees cooler in Elmira, 23 in Hornell, and also in Wayland. And of course, it was definitely a very snowy start to our week, and it gets even colder as we head into the next 24 hours. In fact, our wind chills will be between 0 degrees to 15 below zero for tomorrow. So our actual readings will be in the single digits in the morning hours, but again, it's going to feel about 10 to 15 degrees cooler than that. Cold, or at least not as cold by the middle of the week, and we do have another system that will bring the possibility of more snow heading into your Thursday. But for tomorrow, we are expecting partly sunny skies, temperatures starting off in the single digits. In fact, at around 4 o'clock in the morning, it'll be about 10 degrees, and then we drop down into the single digits. It will feel like 0 or below 0 as we start off the day. So it is going to be a very bone-chilling start to our day. Arctic air settles in for the rest of the day as high pressure builds in. It's going to be located to our south, and the flow around it will keep the northerly winds going. And so we're going to be trapped in this cold air for at least 24 hours. Again, we start off in the single digits. By lunchtime, about 13 degrees, 16 degrees at 2 o'clock. Remembering that even with a little bit of a breeze, it's going to make those temperatures feel about 10 degrees cooler. And then we drop back down to near single digits again in the evening hours. So it's going to be quite cold. And then on Wednesday and Thursday, we have another system that will come through, and it's going to keep that cold air around, and it's also going to give us rounds of snow for Wednesday night into your Thursday. So let's take a look at our future radar, where we're finding a few snow showers for tonight. That will be ending early tomorrow morning. I think it's going to be a dry day tomorrow. We are expecting a little bit of cloud cover, and it will be breezy at times, making those temperatures feel so much colder. A few passing clouds on Wednesday, but notice what happens late on Wednesday into early Thursday. Clouds will start to move through our area. There will be a few snow showers from Wednesday into early Thursday, and then a few maybe sprinkles, or I should say flurries, in the afternoon on Thursday. But overall, it's not going to be quite as cold on Wednesday and Thursday as what we're experiencing right now or even tomorrow. Tonight, we drop down into the single digits, 5 for Corning, 6 in Elmira, highs tomorrow in the teens. Your 7-day forecast features a little bit warmer conditions starting on Wednesday. More snow chances on Thursday and also on Saturday.
Sometimes relationships can be rough and things don't always work out, but the situation can get especially rocky when couples file for divorce and there are pets involved. Sal Giangrasso has more on the new legal proceedings where the welfare of pets are considered when former lovers fight over who keeps Fido. Plus, who is getting upset over the growing number of people choosing to have pets instead of kids.
For pet owners, your animal is part of the family. But what happens when that family gets divorced? Well, a growing number of countries are now considering the welfare of pets when their owners break up.
We don't have kids, and so our pets are so important.
In the U.S., a pet is typically considered property, with one spouse usually awarded custody of the animal during a divorce settlement. But over in Spain, a new law is requiring judges to view pets as something more than objects, making them take a closer look at a pet's best interests when deciding who maintains ownership.
The most important thing is the modification of the law so that they are no longer considered things, but beings with feelings.
Before the new law, officials say the person who registered the pet usually had a better chance of winning custody. But now, proponents believe when more thought is given to the animal's welfare, the pet will wind up in the best home, whether that's being shared or given to just one owner.
This will help decrease the abandonment and mistreatment of animals.
Meanwhile, it turns out the Pope is not happy with people choosing to become pet parents, recently criticizing couples who prioritize getting animals instead of having or adopting children.
Many couples don't have children because they either don't want them or they have only one because they don't want any more. But they have 2 dogs, 2 cats. This denial of fatherhood and motherhood makes us smaller, takes away our humanity.
In the same speech, the Pope says the world is experiencing a demographic winter and called for more people to consider raising children.
A 106-year-old woman credits her long life to her faith and Big Macs. Marcus Espinoza has the story from Philadelphia.
I feel fine.
Miss Dorothy Nett here is feeling more than just fine. She's feeling 106. The South Philly raised great-grandmother of 9 and great-great-grandmother of 1 says she is looking her best on this most special of days.
You have a date tonight? Who said you got a date today? You. Me? All right. I'm dating you now.
In a city and world often filled with so much loss, the 106-year-old credits her long life to the man above.
Serving the Lord. Serving God. That's it.
Dorothy is so incredible that she actually has outlasted the church that she attended her whole life and would take her granddaughter to. And after they fill up their spirit with the Holy Spirit, they'd also fill up their bellies with a special treat.
Grandma always took me to church. We used to go to Friendship Baptist Church on 18th and Wharton Street. And then after church, we would sometimes go to the McDonald's. My grandma got a Big Mac because she was eating Big Macs for a long time.
Her granddaughter takes care of her now at her mother's house. Not that she needs much to be taken care of, though she admits it's been hard on her grandmother during the pandemic.
Because our family, they would come over every Friday. So until the pandemic happened, it's no longer doing that. So they just FaceTime, they miss her definitely, but nobody wants to jeopardize her.
So what does someone who is 106 years old want for their birthday? It's quite simple, actually.
Sweet living. Sweet what?
Sweet living?
Sweet living?
You want sweet living for your birthday?
Yeah. I want to be alive.
Novak Djokovic can stay in Australia for now. A judge ruled in the tennis star's favor today, but the battle isn't over yet. Jonathan Hunt has more.
A victory in court for Novak Djokovic, the tennis star winning his visa appeal against Australia's government on Monday. A judge reinstated his visa, ending his detention and clearing a path for him to play in the Australian Open. The 34-year-old, who's unvaccinated, had been held in an Australian immigration detention hotel since last week, when his visa was cancelled at the Melbourne airport. Border officials determined he did not meet the criteria for an exemption to a rule that all non-citizens be fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Djokovic's attorneys argued since he recently recovered from the virus, he did not need to be vaccinated under Australia's rules.
The minister was expecting him to arrive, and presumably the case officers at the border were exercising the power at the direction of the minister.
In court, Judge Anthony Kelly ruled Djokovic was not given enough time to speak to lawyers before a decision about his visa was made. But Djokovic's battle isn't over yet. Australia's immigration minister still reserves the right to cancel the visa and is considering whether or not to do so.
Unfortunately, Novak has fallen into a serious political turmoil that is unfolding. This is all politics, and it's always been politics.
The Australian Open begins next Monday. Djokovic is the defending champion.
Legalization of marijuana is leading to more children's problems with it and more emergency visits. Canadian medical officials say in a Journal of the American Medical Association study, they've seen a 9-fold increase in emergency room visits by children, increasingly exposed to recreational marijuana. Kids in Ontario province are especially being seen for edible marijuana ingesting. In the U.S., there are marketing restrictions, labeling requirements, and THC limits. THC is the active ingredient in marijuana that creates the high effect. Wendy's is starting off 2022 with free deals all throughout January and February. A dream come true for French fries lovers. Wendy's announced several specials for their Fridays, offering giveaways with the purchase of their new hot and crispy fries. They debuted in September last year. That's the second time Wendy's altered its recipe since the company's launch. A NASA project in the works since before the 90s finally coming to fruition on Saturday, as the space agency's most powerful telescope to date will soon provide the best images yet of deep space. Alexis McAdams has that story.
And there it is in front of us. You're looking at this animation. This is not a pre-made animation. This is based on actual data coming from the telescope to us right now.
NASA administrators breathing a sigh of relief Saturday as the James Webb Space Telescope fully deployed the last part of its primary mirror. The last step in an endeavor more than 25 years in the making.
I'm emotional about it. What an amazing milestone. We see that beautiful pattern up there in the sky now.
More powerful than the Hubble Space Telescope, the $10 billion observatory will help astronomers see further into space than ever before, scanning the light from the first stars and galaxies formed more than 13 billion years ago.
A chance to see the universe as it was perhaps only a couple 100 million years after the start, after the Big Bang.
With a giant sunshield the size of a tennis court, it was too big to fit into a rocket fully assembled, and so it had to be set up in segments. The pieces snapping into place and the observatory taking its final form, 600,000 miles above the Earth. NASA will spend the next 5 months tweaking this telescope's mirrors to bring them into focus. They expect it to send back first images sometime this summer.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. Oreo brings back its Cakesters, taking over the last blockbuster standing in the U.S. to celebrate. The soft-baked classic of the cookie, first launched in 2007, was discontinued 5 years after. The brand decided to bring it back in the place that reflects the era the best way, the last blockbuster in the country in Oregon. The snack has taken over the store completely, with a giant logo above Blockbusters, Oreo movie-themed wallpaper throughout the store, and even free samples served in VHS-inspired packaging. The snack will be available in select retailers starting this week. From our whole team, thank you for joining us, and we hope you have a great night.